Hello, if I can have your attention. Presenting the talk today, By the Numbers, Python Community Trends in 2017 and 2018. Please give a warm welcome to Dmitry and Ewa. Thank you.
Great. Welcome to our talk. My name is Ewa Jodlowska. I am the Director of Operations of the Python Software Foundation, which is also known as the PSF for short. You probably might hear that around. If you'd like to know more about the PSF, I'd be happy to answer questions after the talk in the hallway. You are also welcome to approach me throughout the conference at any time to ask any questions or make any comments. I do oversee this entire conference, so it does happen from time to time that I look like I'm in a terrible rush. And if that does happen, feel free to send me an email or ping me on Twitter.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm very excited today to talk about Python community trends in 2017-2018 together with Ewa. My name is Dmitry Filippov, and I'm Product Marketing Manager at JetBrains, and I was the main person on the JetBrains side behind the Python Developer Survey, which we conducted together with Python Software Foundation at the end of the last year. Our today's talk is going primarily focus on the results of that survey. However, we want to go beyond just that to talk about other topics which were not covered by the survey itself. For example, Ewa is going to talk about Python's jobs market and various opportunities for Python developers available out there. I also hope our today's talk is going to be interactive, so don't be shy and feel free to raise your hands once we conduct very simple polls during our talk. We're also looking forward to your feedback, ideas, and suggestions so we can make our survey even better next time we run it. With that, let me pass it to Ewa to talk about how we came up with an idea to run this survey.
Thanks, Dmitry. So it's important to start with a brief description on why we did the Python Developer Survey. Up until our 2017 survey, there hasn't been an unbiased survey strictly focused on Python developers, and we wanted to change that. Additionally, we wanted to identify the latest trends in Python and also gather insight on how the Python development world looks today. We have our benchmark now, and all future surveys will show us trends over time, which can be a useful tool for our community. The questions that we set out to answer include, what's the current Python 3 adoption rate? How is Python used with other languages? What kinds of projects is Python used for? What are the major types of development among Python users? What are the most popular technologies and tools? Which frameworks and libraries are most common, and how do they complement each other? And in general, we wanted to see who Python developers were. JetBrains was a great resource throughout the process. For those of you that know, the PSF is a nonprofit, and we do run a slim operation. So JetBrains, they were able to host the survey, they set up the logic, and they analyzed the results. Additionally, they provided their services of their awesome design team to create the results webpage that we have showing the results. They even supplied the prizes for the raffle winners for those that participated in our survey. The PSF, on the other hand, was in charge of sending out the survey links via our channels. So we shared the survey via PSF mailing lists, our LinkedIn and Twitter, the python.org website, the PSF blog and Slack, and also via Read the Docs. For the next survey, I plan on doing a lot more outreach to user groups worldwide. The majority of the responses for the survey, 62% of them, came from the banners on python.org. Other major sources were the PSF blog and Twitter posts. No product, service, or vendor-related channels were used in order to prevent the survey results from being slanted in favor of any specific tool or technology. The next few slides will pertain to the Python developer profile. Our survey results showed us that our community is diverse in demographics and experience. The age range varied amongst the respondents, but we did find that 1 in 2 respondents were between the ages of 18 and 29, and 1 in 4 were between the ages of 30 and 39. We did see that a large amount of younger respondents came from outside of the US, and that the US has more experienced Pythonistas. The map here shows us that respondents came from all over the world, more than 150 countries. The countries in blue indicate a high response rate. The areas marked in black account for 33% of the respondents of the survey. But when looking at the individual countries that make up that 33%, we can see that the response rate was low per country. After the survey, when I compared this map to the countries that the PSF has given financial grants out to recently, I can see that we need to do a better job promoting our next survey in the African continent. There's lots of Python activity there that wasn't captured by our first survey, especially considering that 25% of the PSF's financial grants went to Africa in 2017. We have made a note for that for next time, and we plan on improving our outreach there. The Python survey respondents report a wide range of experience. 22% have less than 1 year of experience, and that same percentage has more than 11 years of experience. And there's a smooth distribution in the middle. That indicates that there's a good balance between newcomers and experienced developers, making Python a sustainable language. When it comes to working in groups versus alone, in our survey, 56% of Python developers say they work on projects independently, and 40% work on teams usually of 2 to 7 people. About half of the respondents work on one main project with a handful of side projects, and a quarter focus on one project at a time. Next up, let us look at Python job opportunities. Our survey only asked 2 questions pertaining to jobs, but we thought it was worth exploring more and mentioning for 2 reasons. The first is, since we can see how popular Python has grown, we wanted to see how that related to the job market at this point in time. Since we are going to continue this survey yearly, it will be good historical context for us, especially for future comparisons. The second reason is we can see many of the respondents are somewhat new to the industry, so perhaps this can provide some insight and guidance for them when looking for work. From our survey, we did learn that the majority of respondents are fully employed. After doing more research, we found out that in the US, there are slightly less students and more employed people in comparison to the rest of the world, whereas the US has slightly less students when compared to the rest of the world. With that in mind, I checked out Indeed.com, actually yesterday, to see what that currently meant for those looking for jobs, either first-time employment or looking to switch in the US. Based on the job listings posted, the salary of a Python developer can range anywhere from $85,000 to $130,000 in the US, and that can vary based on the location and experience level. Majority of the listings were for full-time positions, and the second highest category of employment type were for contract positions. When it comes to job locations, I was actually surprised to see that New York City was the highest postings for job developers, with 35% of the jobs, followed by Seattle, Austin, and San Francisco. To give an idea of which non-US countries have Python developers looking for jobs, I collected traffic information from jobs.python.org using unique page views. Even though our site is trivial in comparison to the large job sites, it does tell us that there is worldwide demand for Python jobs. If we look at the graph here, we can see that the largest traffic counts in 2016 and 2017, not counting the US, came from India, China, the United Kingdom, Brazil, Canada, Germany, and Russia. What I want to underline even more so is the increased traffic in 2017 for some of the countries like Brazil, going from 684 unique page views to 4,546. That's a huge increase in 1 year. China's traffic almost doubled between 2016 and 2017. India's traffic increased by 70% in 2017. I'm happy to know that Python's popularity is growing in these countries. And as a side note, for those that are interested, tomorrow at 10 a.m. there is a job fair here at PyCon, which is down the hall in the big hall, and it is open to everyone here. If you're looking for a new endeavor, be sure to bring your business cards and resumes with you.
That's so great. So now let's start looking into how Python is actually being used by the Python community. With the survey, we identified that 4 out of 5 Python developers use it as their main language. That's a 4% increase comparing to 75% when JetBrains did its own survey in 2016. Various recent studies also show that the number of Python developers, as well as the share of Python developers using it as their main language, is growing steadily year by year. This can be explained by rapidly growing number of Python developers using it for data science. This segment of users is growing faster than others. If we look into the languages used together with Python, where Python is the main language in use, half of Python users also use JavaScript. JavaScript is used by 79% of users identified as web developers, but only by 39% of those involved in data analysis or machine learning. The breakdown is slightly different for those who use Python as their secondary language, as fewer of them use JavaScript, but many more languages such as C and C++, Java, and C#. To identify the most popular types of Python development and their intersections, we asked 2 similar questions. What do you use Python for, with multiple answers allowed, and what do you use Python for the most, with only single answer possible? The results showed scientific development is now as popular as web development. Half of the respondents work on data science projects and half on web development projects. Responses differ depending on whether the respondent uses Python as their main or secondary language. 54% of those who use Python as their main language are involved in web development, comparing to only 33% of those who say Python is their secondary language. The difference is less significant for data analysis, machine learning, and other types of development. As you may have expected, Python developers wear multiple hats. The roles they combine most often can be seen on the slide. As you can see, top intersections are web development, data analysis and machine learning, web development, and data analysis. The intersection of data analysis and machine learning is somewhat expected. However, intersection between web development and data analysis and web development and machine learning are definitely something noteworthy. When asked about the primary type of Python development, 26% of Python developers identified as web developers, outpacing data analysis reported by only 18% by a wide margin. However, if we combine those 18% who reported as data analysts with the 9% of people reported as machine learning specialists, we learned that 27% are primarily doing data science. That means there are as many web developers as there are data scientists using Python. Interestingly enough, when JetBrains did its Python developer survey in 2016, 38% of respondents identified as web developers and only 21% as scientific developers. That could be an evidence of rapid growth of data science among Python developers. The most intriguing question, though, in the Python developer survey concerned the ratio of web developers and data scientists in the Python world. We asked respondents to estimate the ratio between web developers and data scientists using Python. Respondents could answer based on their beliefs, experience, and general gut feeling. Because we explicitly asked about primary types of development in the previous question, we could compare the community perception against the reality. And what do you know? Based on the data we've got from the question about main type of development, where we had 26% reporting as web developers and 27% reporting scientific development as their primary activity, the true ratio is 1:1. Only 1 in 9 respondents guessed this correctly. More than half of Python users think that web development is more common. Before we move to the next section, let's do a quick poll. Please raise your hand if you do primarily web development. All right, quite a lot of people.
Yeah.
And now please raise your hand if you do primarily data science. Any type of data science, machine learning.
A little less in this crowd.
A little less.
Yeah.
So the last round, please raise your hand if you do both types of development.
There's a few.
Yeah, quite a few. That's cool. Okay, now let's talk about Python 2 and Python 3. And here we have another poll. Please raise your hand if you primarily use Python 2. It's okay to use Python 2, actually. There are a lot of people who are still using Python 2 for many valid reasons. Okay, good. Now, please raise your hand if you primarily use Python 3.
Yay!
Wow. Wow, that's great. So when we asked which version of Python do you use the most in our survey, we drove to an amazing finding. So what do you know? Python 3 is a strong leader at 75%. And Python 2? How cool is that? And Python 2 is used only by 25%. Python 3 is growing rapidly. In the 2016 survey conducted by JetBrains, we had 60% reporting as using Python 2, and only 40% for Python 3. Python 2 use is declining as it's not actively developed, it doesn't get any new features, and it will be no longer supported after 2020. It's notable that 70% of web developers are using Python 3, compared to 77% of data analysts and 83% of machine learning specialists. This may be because many web developers still have to maintain legacy code while transitioning to Python 3, and a lot of data science specialists joined the community just recently, so they went to Python 3 straightforward. Here we can see the history of Python 3 adoption based on the results of the publicly available surveys for previous years. As you can see, Python 3 is growing in popularity very fast, and we expect it's going to grow even faster, approaching the date when Python 2 is no longer supported. We're really looking forward to seeing the results of the next iteration of the Python developer survey. So what about frameworks, technologies, and libraries used together with Python? With the survey, we identified that Django is the most popular framework. It's used by 41% of Python developers. Scientific packages combined, such as NumPy, Pandas, and Matplotlib, are in close second at 39%. Curiously, 29% of web developers are using scientific libraries. This confirms a strong overlap between the two roles. When asked about technologies used in addition to Python, Jupyter Notebook ranked highest at 31%, which makes sense given the large number of developers involved in data science. Docker trails by only 2% at 29%. Breaking this down by roles, Docker is used by 47% of those mostly involved in web development and only by 23% of data scientists. Similarly, cloud platforms such as Amazon, Google, App Engine, Heroku, and others are used twice as often by web developers than by data scientists. Comparing 2016 survey results with 2017's, Django and Flask, the two most popular web development frameworks, have lost their share. On the other hand, the scientific libraries and technologies have grown. When asked which cloud platforms they use, cloud using respondents ranked AWS first at 67%. Google App Engine, Heroku, and DigitalOcean are used far less often. We were limited on the number of cloud platforms which we could list as potential answers, so other category collected 13% of responses. Those responses include Linode, Python Anywhere, OpenShift, and OpenStack, so keep them in mind. They are quite popular among Python developers. When we asked about use of development practices, tools, and technology and features in Python development, the top spots were occupied by code auto-completion, refactoring, writing unit tests, and using virtual environments for Python projects. On the other hand, NoSQL databases, Python profilers, and code coverage tools were among most rarely used. These results are very similar to the data we've got in 2016. To identify the most popular editors and IDEs, we asked two questions. What editors IDEs have you considered for use in your Python development, with multiple answers allowed? And a single answer question, what is the main editor you use for your current Python development? Based on more than 8,000 replies to this question, PyCharm is the most popular tool, followed by Sublime, Idle, Vim, Atom, and VS Code. It's important to note that we took a number of steps to eliminate bias and ensure the survey wasn't slanted in favor of any specific tool. As Ewa mentioned in the beginning of our talk, JetBrains didn't promote the survey on any of its partners' channels. The majority of responses came through the python.org website and the announcements on Twitter by the Python Software Foundation.
Our goal is to improve the survey so it can become a useful tool for our community and a strong indicator for Python's future. For those of you that may have not seen the full results, here's the link up there. It's a bit shortened. We have started to collect feedback for improvements, and some notes include improving our outreach with the survey, randomizing more answers to questions, and adding a question on testing frameworks, and even trying to publish the results sooner than we did last time. We plan to launch the next survey in October of this year. If anyone in the audience, or even watching at home later on, would like to collaborate or partner with us in the future, please contact us at this email. It's surveys@python.org. Similarly, if you have feedback or ideas on how to make the survey better in the future, don't hesitate to reach out via that email as well. In order to make something useful for our community, we have to get as much feedback from the community as possible. Dmitry and his colleague will be presenting at the poster session here at PyCon tomorrow in Hall B and C, which is happening at the same time as the job fair. So you are welcome to stop by to chat more about the survey or ask questions. And before we go to questions, I'd like to point out that the Python Software Foundation, the PSF, which is the nonprofit behind Python, is currently one of the charities for the Humble Bundle Dev Bundle. Humble Dev Bundle. So there's a link up there. Sorry, we used the long one. But if you would like to purchase any of those products or share the link with anyone, part of the proceeds go to the PSF. So now we'll open up the floor to any questions.
Hi, thanks for sharing all this data with us. I'm really excited to see the survey and the survey results and how we'll follow trends over the years. While the first survey was unbiased, it was brought to us by JetBrains.
Yes.
Are there any concerns of that influencing future survey results and trends?
Well, so we used it in comparisons with some of the things that aren't really related to tools that people use, but we definitely are not going to be using the JetBrains survey in future trends when we look at future results. This one, we definitely tried to make it as unbiased as possible, and we'll continue to do so. And this will be, the results from this survey will be the benchmark for the future ones, instead of the JetBrains one that was done in previous years.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Hi, my apologies if I missed it. Was in the survey tracking which specific minor version of Python 3 was used, like 3.4, 3.5, 3.6? Or is that planned for the future? Because I know from my perspective, I've seen a lot of, as of 3.6, the usage from the people that I talked to has gone up quite a bit. So I was just curious if there's a breakdown of minor versions.
With this survey, we didn't ask for specific Python versions, but it's definitely something which we need to consider for our next iteration.
Thanks for that idea.
Thank you.
I noticed there's a link there on the page to the raw data that was used to generate that summary.
Did we skip that slide? We're kind of running.
No, it was great.
Okay.
So it's awesome the raw data is there. Is there anything out there, like I'm sure there was some tooling used to generate the summary of the data. Is there anything out there like a Jupyter notebook or something people can use to kind of get started in inspecting the raw data themselves?
That is a great idea. I don't think one exists. We did have a Pythonista on Twitter do several own renditions of the data results, but I don't think there is a Jupyter notebook. But I think that is a super idea that we should definitely do as soon as we wrap up PyCon.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Eric.
By the way, there is something I forgot to tell, that with the survey, we shared the raw data to the public.
Right.
So we welcome all of you and actually encourage all of you to look into the raw data to drive to your own findings and conclusions.
Right. So if you go to that survey link up there, at the bottom of the survey, there's a link where you can download the raw data and do your own analysis on the data that's there.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm impressed about how the Brazilian job positions grow in this survey. I would like to know if you ask about if these positions are remote jobs or in-place jobs, because that's something I really care about, because I'm from Central America, Nicaragua, and we mostly apply to positions remotely, not in place.
Right.
I would like to know.
So our survey did not ask about remote style work. But I do think that jobs.python.org has a way that you can filter for remote work if you're interested in checking that out. But that's definitely something to note for the future.
Yes, because I would like to know how many of these job positions are remotely, or how many are in place. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's also very important to know that we have issue tracker on GitHub for this survey. So you can reach it by following the link on the slide. Go down
you
to
can
the
always
page
provide
and
feedback
see,
there.
see the link to the GitHub.
Yep.
Cool. Looks like that's all the questions we've got. So please help to say thank you to for a great talk. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.